Jamaica, our way of life is being affected, but our path to progress is not. Flow has continued to build its network infrastructure to prepare for times like these, to ensure that your connections to everything important are strong and reliable. And if you're a current Flow Home Service customer, upgraded services may be available in your area. Learning from home is smarter, and working from home is stronger than ever. The strength of the Flow network is yours and ready when you need it. Visit your nearest Flow store or discoverflow.co. It's our privilege to serve you.
Diversity matters, and in the field dominated by males, the next panel is all about woman power. Four Black women in the world of animation share their personal journey and commitment to ensuring that the entertainment industry takes action to improve representation and visibility of women and minorities in the industry. Moderated by founder and CEO of BWA Studios, Taylor K. Shaw, this panel features SONYA CAREY, founder of the Animation Lounge, Kimberly Wright, film producer of Sesame Workshop, Pilar Newton, president and CEO of PilarToons, and MELANIE GOOLSBY of Netflix. But before we join these ladies in this very exciting discussion, remember that the live chat feature is active and you can ask the panelists all your questions right there. Now, ladies, over to you.
All right, welcome. We are here, Black women in the world of animation. Look at all of this melanin, all of this greatness. My name is Taylor K. Shaw. I am the founder and CEO of BWA Studios, an animation studio that consciously hires us. I am overjoyed to be moderating today a panel with these phenomenal, trailblazing Black women in the space. I'm just more than excited to hear more about your journeys and career. So thank you, all of you, SONYA, MELANIE, Kim, and Pilar, for being with us here today. So I just want to clap you all up. And so you all who are watching King's Tune family, so you all, can get a better sense of who these women are. I'm going to go ahead and kick us off by reading their bios. All right. So MELANIE GOOLSBY. MELANIE was born in Monterey, California, and is the youngest of 3 girls born to a military family. She's lived in various cities across the country and beyond before settling in Atlanta in 2006, where she attended Spelman College and received her sociology degree. Upon graduation, she remained there working on various positions in media. As a Black woman, MELANIE attributes much of her cultural awareness, deep sense of pride and passion to being in Atlanta and attending Spelman. Yes, you better go, Spelmanite. She carries that passion, awareness, and pride to everything she does, including the 2 books she authored, ABCs for Girls Like Me and ABCs for Boys Like Me, and into her current role at Netflix, where she works as a creative executive focused on animated content for the 6+ audience. MELANIE resides in LA with her husband and 4-year-old daughter. MELANIE, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, next we have Pilar Newton. Pilar is an animator, cartoonist, and educator that started drawing her Snozzlewinks, right? Yeah, Snozzlewinks cartoons when she was 8 years old. Even at that early age, it became clear that she wanted to pursue cartooning and animation. She got her start doing animation production art on shows such as Courage the Cowardly Dog, a favorite for Cartoon Network, and MTV's Daria. In 2008, she established her Brooklyn-based production company, PilarToons LLC. Pilar teaches animation at the City College of New York and SVA, the School of Visual Arts. In the summer of 2020, she received her MFA in visual narrative at the School of Visual Art. And in October 2021, she introduced the Snozzlewinks to the world in the form of her first graphic novel. Whoa, that is awesome. Okay, hey Pilar, thanks so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Heart, big hearts. All right, and now we're gonna check out actually a reel from Pilar. Awesome. Thanks, Pilar. Okay. So SONYA CAREY, born in London, SONYA is the youngest of 3 sisters who at a young age immigrated with their parents to Canada. It was during high school that SONYA developed a love of theater, drama, fine art, and the entire artistic experience. After high school, she enrolled at the University of, might need a little help, is it Guelph?
Yeah, Guelph.
Guelph, leaning more toward the technical side of theater. SONYA began to shape her career as a technical artist, focusing on lighting and sound. After moving to LA and taking a personal interest in animation, she landed her first job working on Ren and Stimpy and Beavis and Butthead as a self-taught camera artist using new technology surrounding digital 2D animation. Wow. Within just a few years, this technology exploded, and SONYA took that opportunity to return to Toronto and was hired by several studios as a compositing artist. After years of expanding her software knowledge, SONYA also added producing and studio management to her skill set. With a strong technical background, combined with several roles as producer and manager, SONYA is now producing series content for large broadcasters. At the peak of her career, SONYA has now decided to teach through her own learning facility called the Animation Lounge. The goal is to share knowledge that will allow others to achieve their full potential within the animation industry. Her focus is on the underemployed, visible minority groups who are often not invited to the table inside of the entertainment industry. For the future, telling her own stories is next on the list for SONYA. Awesome, SONYA. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And now we're gonna see SONYA's reel.
I'm just an 11-year-old boy, and I live here in Atlanta with my very normal family. Then there's me. 2 years ago, something really strange happened to me. I was on a field trip with my class. Our teacher took us to the coolest antique toys museum ever. I saw the most incredible mood ring that I just had to have. I never thought anything like it. I slept with it on that night, and when I woke up, things were different.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, SONYA.
Welcome. Just a lot of software hacks.
You are the pro. All right. And last but certainly not least, we have with us Kimberly Wright. Daytime Emmy Award winner Kimberly Wright joined Sesame Workshop 10 years ago as the film producer, commissioning live action, animated, and mixed media short films for Sesame Street. She works closely with filmmakers and animators to guide them through the creative process in order to shape the films to best meet the show's specific letter and thematic needs, while also staying within the film's budget. That's important. She oversees all aspects of creative development of the short films and animations, from conception and deal making to production and delivery. As a means of finding new content creators to partner with, Kim attends various children's film festivals and media conferences throughout the US and abroad, including Canada, Germany, Trinidad, Australia, and New Zealand. In April of 2019, she traveled to Kingston, Jamaica, where she served as a judge at the Kingston Animation Festival, and as a result, partnered with Listen Me Animation and Design to commission a letter film. So awesome. Kimberly looks forward to finding more Caribbean content creators to collaborate with in Sesame Street's upcoming season and beyond. And prior to joining the Sesame Street family, Kim had been a producer for over 11 years. She spent the majority of her career as a daytime TV producer working for Telepictures, NBC, and Paramount Pictures, and producing several national daytime talk shows, including The Queen Latifah Show, The John Walsh Show, and The Montel Williams Show. Kim has a BA in radio and TV from the George Washington University. She lives in northern New Jersey with her husband and 2 children. Kim, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you again for having me.
Awesome. All right. And we are going to watch a reel from Kim. Wow, beautiful. Just a round of applause for all of you phenomenal women. Thank you for sharing your work. Let's dive in. Let's dive in. So Melanie, SONYA, Kim, Pilar, we are Black women in animation. And I know a lot of folks, not our Kingston family, but a lot of folks in the US where we are can only count maybe one other Black female animator or producer or even exec that they know or have worked with. So it can be an isolating journey. We are often, right, the only one in the room. So we really want to take this time and create the space for us to talk about our lived experiences. And I think also, you know, our hopes for the future. 2020 was a big year in many ways. And animation, we all found out, is a recession and pandemic proof. So there's a lot going on in the zeitgeist. And I'm looking forward to you all enlightening us with your insights. So I want to start off, kick us off with Melanie. Melanie, you come into this world of animation from children's books, which is so great. I'm wondering, like, who do you do this for? What made you want to take, this job at Netflix and get into animation specifically? Like, who are you doing it for?
Yeah. So before I worked at Netflix, I was in Atlanta and I worked at Cartoon Network. And actually when I was there, I was like, I don't really like cartoons, but like, whatever, I'm kind of here. And then I had my daughter. So I got the job at Netflix in 2016 and I had my daughter a month after I started at Netflix. So I moved from Atlanta to LA, started, and then had my daughter. And it was almost instantly that I was like, oh no, I care about this. I care about what I'm about to be playing for her and who she's going to be seeing on the screen. And so it just changed my perspective about what I do. And so that's actually why I wrote my books. I wrote it for her because I was like, I'm not seeing what I want for you. So I said, okay, I'll make it myself. And so now I'm grateful to have this job and to be able to have all of that background and passion when I come into a pitch meeting or when I'm, looking at projects. It's all about her, really. It's her in the back of my mind of making sure that, would I be proud to stand behind this if she's watching it. And so that carries over to me, right? I do it for her. I do it for me and the little girl, years ago when I was looking on the screen and didn't see myself. And everyone else who looks like she and I, that's, all of the motivation for me is making sure people around the world who look like me can see themselves, and even people who don't, right? Like I'm passionate about diverse representation on screen in different ways, whether that's race, ethnicity, gender, socioeconomic status, just running the gamut. It's for everyone who hasn't seen themselves.
Yes, and I know a few of us on this call have daughters and can relate to that sentiment and that driving force and motivation. SONYA, when you started your animation journey, or maybe in the earlier part of your career, did someone see you and say, hey, I want to invest in you, hey, I want to champion you, or did you always have to see yourself? Because I think now we're in a time, right, where representation is either said to be, or is it really a priority? We'll talk about that. But a lot of you are in these seats of power now and influence, and now people are looking to you. But when the journey started, what was that like? Like, SONYA, for you, did someone see you and want to champion you, or was it always like, you know what, I'm self-taught, I'm gonna get myself in these rooms, I'm gonna live out my dream and passion, and was it all on you?
Yeah, I definitely started to get a taste of that in university because I wanted to be on the technical side of theater, and it was all just me and usually a bunch of guys crawling around on catwalks. And it continued into, because I really wanted to have a technical role inside of the studio. So first, on the Ren and Stimpy show, I was offered a receptionist position, and that was my foot in the door, but I knew I could at least get in the door and start. So definitely self-taught on the technical side. And then, you just highly motivated to stay at the same level as many people who just did not look like me and maybe did not want to share that kind of knowledge. So I taught myself, and it was never a downer. I always felt pretty confident that I could prove myself. It was actually a big challenge. Like, if I can just beat that guy over there, that's going to make me feel better at night. So yeah, definitely nobody pointed me out and said, let's give her a chance, but I made my own.
Yeah, you certainly made your own. And I know there's a lot of projects that you're proud of, like The Princess and the Frog, and so much work that you've done to further representation on screen for us. And do you wish that there had been someone that was there that was like, hey, I'm gonna support you? Do you see more of that now? You're doing it now with the Animation Lounge. what do you wish kind of might have been there for you as support?
Right now in this moment, because I do have two sides of myself right now. I am working on a Netflix series, my second one, which I'm allowed to talk about since Netflix is on the line. I'm like, oh, but it didn't have a press release, so I can talk about it. So I have that side of myself where I'm producer on a Netflix series again, and then the Animation Lounge. So on the series side, as a producer, I think for the first time this year, and I have to give a ton of props to Netflix, because definitely feeling like even if I don't want to take the seat at the table, they're like holding out the chair and like, Sonya, get in here. They want my voice, they want my opinion. They will stop a meeting so that I can be heard, because I do have a lot of maybe imposter syndrome, where I just kind of naturally hold back, like no one wants to hear what I have to say. But this year, people are stopping to hear my voice, which is pretty cool. And in the Animation Lounge, I think sponsorship is everything, and it was just an idea that I had in a bar one day, and my sponsor, he's got that confidence and that bigger voice than I do. He is definitely the epitome of who you see in animation. He's that strong white male, and he's been there where having a voice for me where I can't, and getting some doors opened and some articles and recognition. So it's a catch-22, right? I do feel like I have a couple people on my side now where I didn't before. This year has made a huge difference, though, for all that we've been through this year. I feel the difference, and people are taking notice.
That's beautiful. So it sounds like there is a shift that's happening, that's being felt. And I'm glad to hear that folks on this call are working together. Yes. Kim and Pilar, I have questions for each of you. One, for you, Kim, have you started to notice this real shift in the industry, like this aim to be more inclusive of Black female animation talent and producers? And then for you, Pilar, what excites you about this moment in time right now as an educator?
Would you want me to start? I'm definitely seeing a shift. I think, with representation and inclusion being major movements now, I'm seeing that there's a shift, and I feel like we've made some strides. There's like some kind of the landscape is evolving in a sense, but I think we've got a ways to go. I love that we're seeing more of a presence on screen. I would, with characters, and our stories being told, and I think it's great, and it's a great step. I just would love to see more of us, filmmakers, animators of color, women, Black women, in particular, in not just behind the scenes, but also in these positions of power and at the top. And that's where I think, like the doors are definitely more open than they used to be, but it's still that getting to that level, and moving to the top is still challenging, and it's still a battle, because people like to hire people that look like them. So until we have more of us at the top and in those positions to make decisions, then it will really see a big shift, but I think we're getting there. And I think there's a growing number of women interested in animation and doing animation, which is great. And I just hope that they don't get, kind of discouraged in a sense by not seeing, enough of us in those roles. So I think it's just going to be a continual evolution, to get there.
Yeah. Hopefully this panel is a part of that inspiration.
Definitely.
And Pilar, what's exciting you as an educator right now?
Well, it was challenging at first because, of course, like I'm teaching everything I'm teaching 4 college courses online at the City College of New York and the School of Visual Arts. And at first it was scary and challenging, but I'm already like very versed in online learning even before the pandemic. And I suddenly felt empowered to in a digital environment to tell my animation students, look, you have something I never had. I grew up in a world where you needed to have tens of thousands of dollars to develop film, make film negative, optical prints, send it to a lab, etc. Whereas now you could literally pull your cell phone out of your pocket with a free app, literally with your finger, draw animation, and you can send it to a festival, which, by the way, I have a friend that did that and it got on TV. So my whole, like, that's my mantra. I'm like, you don't even need a animation job anymore to get your work out there. And a large percentage of my students are women, and a large percentage of my students are Black and brown. And it makes me really, really excited to see them excited. And I have a really huge amount of my students, that former students, that email me and contact me and say, look at this animation I'm doing. Like, one of my students is like doing a series. So I'm getting really excited. I'm starting an animation collective and like a monthly animation challenge, and a lot of, especially the City College students that are very like underrepresented, they're really excited, and I'm working on things together with them. And I don't know if I answered your question in any way, shape, or form.
It does. One, excited about the opportunities that this generation and your students have, and also to collaborate with them. I think this next generation, be in part because of their access to technology, like they can just do it. You are an animator today, you can be one. And you, even as their professor, which is, I've come and I've seen a showcase with your students. One, they are all so talented. And this was years ago, pre-pandemic, but
feels like years ago.
Yeah, but they're so talented, and the way that you believe in them and the joy that I see that comes from you in being in community with them. And a lot of these, again, are like Black and brown artists. How do you maintain, I feel, and you can be like, you are so wrong, but I feel like you have a sense of joy, one, just for the art form, but your students, and in this industry where we do not see, as Kim was saying, Black women being represented in the seats of power. We have maybe one mainstream show like the Backyardigans that was actually created by a Black woman that did all of these seasons. Maybe there's some more in development, hopefully, but really, for us, we're making up just us. There's thousands of us, and like we are not really visible. So I don't get the sense from you ever that it feels dismal, even though it kind of is. Like from you, I always feel that joy. How do you keep that? How do you maintain that? How do you share that with everybody that's watching right now? Really?
For me, well, yeah. So, thank you. Yeah, and it is like sort of like so like underrepresented, right? And but my joy comes from every single time I see my students achieve something or come away with a love of animation. That brings me so much joy. So there's a film festival called the CUNY Film Festival, City University of New York. We are the flagship campus, City College of New York. So we're talking 25 colleges, and out of 25 colleges, 2 years in a row, we won grand prize. And that brought me so much joy. Like, this is back when you could still be in person, but like we were there, like my students are being photographed by major newspapers. And I mean, I just like stood there and I'm like, this gives me more joy than every animation gig I've ever done, just looking and seeing my students being celebrated. And, just like in terms of like work, I tell them on the first day I teach, I'm like, look, I can't guarantee that you'll ever get a job. And they look at me with like mouths agape, like, isn't this like the opposite of what you're supposed to be telling me? And I'm like, no, like, don't let whether you work in a studio or not define you, because whether you get a job or not in a studio, which would be great, you have the technology to start a YouTube channel, Vimeo, a blog, and get your work out there. You have that technology. You have an audience, the internet, just depending on how you get it out there. So it's just sort of like, for me, it's like less of them getting work and more of them having the joy of creating their own animation, which is how I came up. I went to Rhode Island School of Design, and they said, look, we're not going to teach you how to get a job. What? we're going to teach you how to be an animator. We're going to teach you how to be a filmmaker, how to make a film from start to finish. And that's the joy that I instilled in my students, because at Rhode Island School of Design, they encouraged us. They took our films and put them into film festivals for us. And they said, Pilar, guess what? You got into the Black Mariah Film Festival. What? And that gave them joy. And that gave me joy, just seeing like my work on the screen. So the first time my students got into a film festival and I like looked at their faces as their work played on the screen, and just seeing their eyes, like I've never seen my work be playing on a screen with an audience, that gave me so much joy. Like I could not describe. Anyway, I hope I answered your question.
Yes, of course you did. And that surreal feeling of, wow, like I am a filmmaker, I am an artist. And I love what just the heart of what you're saying is that we as Black women, as, you know, Black folks, we deserve to just be artists and be able to create and work that resonates with us, work that is reflective of our lived experience, and just that joy. Thank you for sharing it, because I think we, at least from my experience, you know, the struggles that I've had, or family struggles, and just trying to make it, it can be hard to say I'm going to press on as an artist. Yeah. And so, you know, Kim, you come from live action, also TV, mixing in animation. How'd you carve out your path as an animation producer?
But it was a very unusual journey, especially because I started in daytime talk shows, which is an unusual, I did a 180 basically. But, you know, honestly, going back to something Melanie said, motherhood actually ended up causing the shift for me. And I, you know, the jobs that I was working and producing at those shows, very long hours, hectic, you know, I was doing everything from true crime stories to high-end makeover show, you know, high production, you know, so all different, all hours of the night. Couldn't do that anymore. So I had my son in 2008 and I'm like, what can I do? You know, I need to, you know, now I have a child. So my what I was thinking about started changing, you know, and like Melanie said, you're thinking about what your children and your child is going to be watching as well. So I ended up freelancing for a while. I got an informational interview at Sesame Street, and it was just informational. There was no job at the time, but I met the executive producer. She and I had a connection. We hit it off, but again, there was no job. So I just kind of kept in touch with her for probably over a year until she called one day and there was a freelance position for a film producer. I didn't even know what that, like, what is a film producer at Sesame Street, you know? But it ended up being freelance for 6 months and commissioning the films and animations. And it ended up 4 months in, it turned into a staff position. And I had a little bit of film background, not a whole lot. I was going to get my master's, or planning to get my master's, and had started the program at NYU for film studies. I thought maybe I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with it. But again, I didn't have a lot of film. I was definitely more from a producer background. And she's like, you know what, I'm going to take it. Sometimes you have to take a chance, and we just connected, and that's how I kind of got into it. And now I'm just celebrated 10 years. I can't believe it's gone that that fast. But when I will say that when I got in there, you know, I really made it my mission to change kind of the landscape of the films and animations that were being commissioned. I mean, we definitely had some good stuff coming in and great people that we worked with, but when I looked at the overall picture, it's mostly men, mostly white men, and whether it be animation or live action. And I'm like, there's definitely got to be a way to expand this and bring some content creators of color and more women, and, you know, just diversify it in general, not just in, you know, and make it even more international. So I just kind of started to really figure out what film festivals I could go to and what people I could meet, and what schools we could even work with. You know, we've worked with Tisch now, commissioned films from students, which has been great. So I wanted to, and that's just something that keeps evolving, and I keep working to kind of build on that. So that's been beautiful.
Great. Yeah, which is great for our Kingstown family to know. It's like, Kim is looking for you.
Yes, I want to see your work. you know, and I think that that really is one of the first steps, is that, you know, some of our young, and this goes for young filmmakers and animators in general, but specifically talking about young filmmakers and animators of color, just knowing that the opportunities are there. That's half the battle. Like a lot of us just don't know, I wouldn't have known that, hey, I can pitch an idea to Sesame Street. I think most people think that we probably produce all of our animations and live action films in-house. Like, why would you not think that, No, but we're looking for, actively looking for new animators and filmmakers. And it's not out of the question that they could be students or recent grads, so it's all are welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for this next generation of Black women in animation, because of y'all, because of everybody on this panel. Sonya, what would you like to say to this next generation of animated storytellers, specifically Black women, as we talk about, us forging a path and really having a place in this industry, and them coming behind the groundwork of all of you?
I think just getting everybody, including people my age, to be honest, but a sense of you can have it, knowing you can call him at Sesame Street and, take those full calls. I think we are still hiding somewhere out in the shadows, afraid to take those steps forward. I think asking for what you want, sometimes I'm like, I could have just asked for that. And, I think that's something I teach in my classes now. It's like, you belong everywhere. You are equal. You don't have to hide in the shadows. And if you never let people know you're out there, nobody's going to know you're out there. So just opening up a portal for yourself, like with putting your own little films on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, suddenly you've opened up an opportunity, whereas just hiding in your home, falling into the patterns that we do, just feeling a little bit insecure about, asking and taking a piece of what we want. There's a whole bunch of the animation pie, especially. And we're not even having a fun yet. So yeah, I'm just trying to encourage bravery. And that's something just because I'm learning it myself, it's so important. That's the first step. Make yourself known, get out, get into that, that world that you want to be in. And don't be just sitting there waiting to be invited. You have to go get it. So that's a big part of my lessons right now.
Ooh. A word. Okay. Yes. Preach, Sonya. So from this panel, our collective 2021 and beyond resolution is out of the shadows, be brave. That's what everybody's going to take away. Thank you. That's awesome. And Melanie, so now, as a network exec, you're over at Netflix. Are you finding, or just in your career more recently, we don't have to speak to your now experience, but are you finding that, with time, you've been able to bring more and more of yourself unapologetically to the rooms that you're in? Maybe you switch a little less. like, have you found that over time you can just say, yeah, girl, like this, and people are like, okay, cool, accepted, and you don't have to,
Exactly that. I find myself saying, yeah, girl, a lot in meetings now. It is something that I am consciously doing as well. I'll say, just like Sonya was saying, like, I've experienced imposter syndrome and being the only one in the room and like, am I really supposed to be here? Did y'all know y'all hired me? But this year I was like, yo, I'm here. So, and I say this all the time, the best version of me, and everyone I would assume, but the best version of me is when I am myself. I think I'm really smart and I have a lot to offer, but when I am trying to be someone else for the sake of the room, then you're not getting what I'm here for. So it's something that I'm consciously actively trying to do and work on and bring myself authentically and unapologetically just how I am. And so I had an experience of a few months ago, I don't know time anymore, but it was a while ago. I was in a meeting, and it was one of the first times that I decided to state my opinion the way I had it, and not try to filter it and say it in a way that was nice for the room. And I did it, and I got this message from one of my colleagues, and she said, the way you're expressing yourself right now is really dynamic, and it feels like true leadership. Like, I just want you to know, like, I'm really reacting to how you're expressing yourself. And I was like, that's what I need to hear, right? Like, when I'm being myself, that's actually the most impactful. And that was the reinforcement of me. So now when I'm in meetings and I have a moment and I think about that message, then I'm like, yep, I'm going to say it just the way I'm going to say it. And so it's just that, and I'm finding that it's more welcomed now than it's ever been. So it's been a journey, but a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that and keeping it real. It's so important. I think also, you know, when you're on those bigger stages and platforms at these big companies, and we bring out our whole selves, I think it creates a space where more content creators also, when they come in and pitch, if they're bringing their whole selves, it's not so new, right? When they come in and they're like, this is where I'm from, this is what we do. If they're speaking another language, whatever, it's like, oh, okay, cool. This is what our inside looks like. So yeah, let's bring in this diverse talent and let's really push to attract them. Awesome. So is that equity, Kim? Is that equity? Are we moving towards that? What's your vision for equity in animation now in 2021 and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, just giving people the opportunity, or animators of color and more women, the opportunity to tell their stories, to tell our stories, you know, and tell them openly, and show people that, you know, we have these great positive and uplifting stories to tell, you know, I think is key. You know, I'd love to see, obviously, like, more diversity on the back end, like I mentioned, you know, and behind the cameras and in these positions of power. But, you know, like we had Sesame Workshop, we have this program, the Writers Room, which really helps bring in new writers of color, you know, and young people as well, and which is great. And I'm thinking, like, one of my personal plans, I'd love to have something, or put something in place that's similar, but for animators of color. So maybe it's like an animation apprentice program. I'm kind of making this name up now, but, you know, something where we can really give some young people the opportunity to let their work get out there, you know, and give them a chance to partner with some tried and true animators that, you know, we've been working with for years. And, you know, I just feel like the more mentorship that we have, and giving opportunities for young people to network, like, if we can keep building on all of that, that would be great. You know, just the fact that, you know, letting young people know that we have these opportunities, and these opportunities exist. So I'd like to see that trend continue. And if I could just tell this really quick story, like, you know, I went to a couple years now, the Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival, and I met these two young men at the time. They were 16 and 19, and their film was screening there. This is a few years back, and they were just so excited to come up and see if I could, you know, look at their work. I had missed the actual screening. It had screened the day before, but long story short, met them. They were just the nicest young guys. One still in high school, obviously. One was, like, I think, a freshman at the time at Morehouse. And it was Dreadhead Films was the name of their company. And I got an email from them, like, after getting back from the festival, and they were like, Mrs. Wright, I don't know if you'll remember us, you know, but we just loved meeting you, and thank you for, you know, looking at our work, and we'd love to be part of the process, you know. And I could explain to them how our RFP commissioning process worked, and, like, in case you didn't remember us, here's a picture of us. My dad took of us talking to you, and it was so sweet, and it was just so endearing, and they were just great. And you know what? I included them in the RFP process. They pitched along with a dozen other filmmakers and animators, some I had worked with before, some that I had not, and their pitch was selected. And they did a number 6 film for us, and then went on to do more work for us. They did some Elmo's World montages, and and they just took the initiative. They were advocates for themselves. They weren't afraid to just get in there and and go for it. And I think that those are the opportunities, or that's what we need to reinforce to a lot of our young people. That these opportunities are there, and you never know you have to take the chance, and you have to speak up for yourself.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that story. Get out of the shadows, be brave.
Yes, it goes back to that mantra. Yes.
Yes. Thank you, ladies, so much for all of your insights, sharing your personal stories. I wish we could go on for hours and hours, but I know we have just a few minutes left together. So as we close, I'd love for each of you to respond to the question, as a Black woman in animation, what are you most looking forward to in this moment? So I will start us off with Melanie.
It's probably echoing what everyone has said. I think I'm looking forward to Black women coming to the forefront and being unapologetic and being brave and stepping out of the shadows and telling the stories that they want to tell, and being in the positions that we haven't been in before. I love when I get a pitch from a Black woman and it's a story that blows me away. It's something I haven't seen before, and it has specificity and uniqueness and flavor and style and all of that. I'm like, yes, that's what we need. So I'm excited for more of that from us and from so many people who haven't been able to be in those positions and tell those stories. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Beautiful. Pilar, you want to jump in?
I think that what I would love to, what I'm looking forward to is really just, I have several projects coming down the pike. And one of the things I love doing is I love hiring Black and brown women to work on it. And my work, future project coming up are all stories that represent Black women. Like my most recent story is about a young girl that draws cartoons. Like, there's so many of those out there. I literally wrote that for myself. So I'm looking forward to hiring and bringing on Black voices, especially women.
Beautiful. SONYA, what are you most looking forward to in this moment?
I think I would like to see this moment live on, is what I'm looking for. I mean, this year I've seen like voice talent, our script writers, directors, those big creative roles being awarded to Black, young and older, not just young, but old people like me too. Just being awarded, and again, I just keep saying it, like just given a seat at that table that we never had before. And it's so strong in this moment. I don't want it to fizzle out. Sometimes things are like the flavor of the month, and it's a knee-jerk reaction to what's happening in the big picture in the world for equality for us. So I would love to see it live on. It's amazing. It's an amazing moment. I feel so welcome and warm and wanted like never before. And also reaching out to talent that we never would have before, and awarding roles that whatever's happening in the last 6 months, I want that to just be the norm. Just us being in the room all the time, to have it be normal. So that's my wish.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right, Kim.
Oh, okay. I guess I will have to say I'm just really looking forward to continuing to commission and try and partner with as many new up and coming young content creators of color as possible. I mean, it's still my mission. I want to, I've met so many great people along the way at events like Kids Screen, and, just new animators that I'm excited to see more of their work and get to, have them share their stories, because the stories, their stories and their short films are giving our show the diversity that, that it needs, whether it's a child's accent in a Jamaican film, Jamaican artist that did a film for us, or, just really having the different cultures represented and on screen, seeing a little glimpse into their world. And it just gives our film so much more flavor and authenticity to diversity. So I'm just looking forward to all of that. And I will say, on a personal level, I have some of my own ideas that I'd love to get out there. And I'm trying to work with a couple of our animators and make that happen too, and tell some of my own stories. So lots to look forward to. I hope it's going to be a good year for everybody.
Yes. Wow. Thank you for powerful, beautiful Black women, for just sharing your hearts and spirits with us. What I'm taking away from this panel, our conversation, is that there is room for all of us, and you are really laying out the red carpet for this next generation to be able to walk into the rooms authentically, and also know that yes, there's space for you inside of the studios that are being made, and there is room for us to work together outside of them and champion our own projects and do this work for the love of it, and touch people in that way. So I am more than inspired. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Sonya. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Pilar. And we'll see all of you next time.